Today we're looking at Let Life Happen, giving yourself permission to let go. You may wonder what that has to do with a cowboy herding cats. If you got our newsletter or email weekly, you'll have an idea of what I'm going to talk about here and how I'm going to connect this. But Alan Saunders is credited with this saying that most of us have heard. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. If you look that up online, you might see that it's been attributed to John Lennon, who included the line in his song Beautiful Boy about his son when he was born. But it turns out it goes back further than that. Sometimes it's difficult to find the correct source to famous quotes. I like to know where they come from, although what I also know is it doesn't matter who says it. Truth is truth. Something that has value like this will jump out at us. But this is such a true statement that we often project so much onto our life that don't realize that life is happening outside of the tunnel vision we sometimes develop. So I had that brief experience this week. I thought of this quote a few evenings ago. I was doing my usual evening cat herding, rounding up our 3 outdoor cats into the garage for the night. Most of the time, all 3 rush in without coaxing. But this night, 2 decided to play hard to get. I felt a twinge of anxiety creep in as the evening progressed, and there were still no cats. And I do it for their safety and for I don't want them to get in trouble. Basically, one of them actually showed up the following morning with a big half scalped. So I don't know what happened to him, but that happened during the day, so I guess it doesn't matter. But we're kind of nursing him at the moment. But anyway, I was feeling a little bit anxious just about, I want to resolve this, and especially I like to resolve it on Saturday because I don't want to get up several times Saturday night knowing I'll be at church the next day and try to find these guys. Because usually after 10 or so, they come peacefully. They're hungry enough and they're ready to come in, especially when we have rain and wind. They have a thing about that. But the little female that we have is the worst. She, when we first got our house cat, which is a female, I wanted a female because I thought they'd be easiest to deal with. And of the 3 outside cats, 2 of them are males. You can walk up to the 2 males anytime, pick them up and take them in because they know they're going to get something to eat. But she has this thing about not wanting to let me catch her. And it's after a certain period of time, like 4 o'clock, anytime after 4 o'clock, the game's on and I've got to do this chase. Well, I tricked her last night. She jumped up. She was doing this thing. I had the 2 guys in the garage, and she jumps up on the brick railing around our house, which they use like a super highway. They're always running on that thing. But she jumped up, and I grabbed her back leg, and she totally outsmarted her, which I really felt proud of myself for doing. So she went with a fight, but she gives up and lets me take her in and all that. It's a nightly ritual. But anyway, there's still no cats, so I'm getting a little bit anxious. But just then, as if someone flipped a switch, I felt this message: let life happen. And it was kind of a funny thing because I wasn't even thinking about that. And I didn't hear words. I just felt that message: let life happen, let it go. And of course, that's tied into the let go and let God kind of thing, or let it flow, let go and let it flow, and all that stuff. But this let life happen, I just changed my mind right at that moment. And this is a dumb thing. I mean, it's a little deal. When I heard that my mother was in the hospital, I didn't flip that switch quite as fast, but I did flip it, and I am letting life happen in that case as well. So we'll find that there are different times when we can do it easier than others. But I like that line, 3 simple words, just let life happen. And it caused me to think of that whole thing in just a little bit different way. And again, it's a small thing, but how many of our problems in life are small? You know, there's so many that are small, and we have a big one come along once in a while, and we try to figure it out. But like all minor problems, this cat thing was resolved rather quickly. The 2 outlaws sauntered up, as if to remind me that the clock of the universe runs on their time, not mine. And that's exactly how cats think. They are pretty much in their own little bubble. And we kind of cater to that. But the problems that most of the problems we face are solved. It's what happens in the meantime and what we go through in the meantime. That's what's important. Because I have actually gone to bed rather disgusted because these cats would not come in. And it's I don't like going to bed disgusted, you know, especially over a cat. But it's what I'm saying is you have an experience and then you take it with you, you carry it with you, and it becomes kind of a part of your consciousness for that period of time. And we find out that what we think of as peace of mind is conditional. I'll be peaceful as long as the cats are in. And we equate that to a lot of things. We apply that thought to a lot of things. But to just say, let life happen is a way of letting that go. It'll be resolved. We know it'll be resolved. And I like to pick out little things like this because, again, most of us, this is what we deal with most of the time. And this is a very simple thing to remember, you know, when you're going through your day. Actually, I have said this to myself several times this week. You know, after that experience, after the thing with the cats. Although I guess I kind of forgot when I grabbed the cat by the leg last night and drug her in. But life did happen. It just wasn't the way the cat wanted it. You know, sometimes that's good too. But life is mostly that, you know, mostly just little things that we react to, and those things add up, and we tend to think we're powerless over anything like that. But if you let it go, you know, you're never powerless to let something go. And that's one of the most powerful things I think we can do. Again, it's not always easy to do that. But something this simple, if you just apply it to the simple things, then kind of like lifting weights, you know, you can add a little bit as you go, and the weightier it gets, the more likely you're able to do it. So a weightier issue struck me at that moment. I realized my twinge of anxiety came from wanting life to happen differently, like the television-addicted Chancey Gardener. It was Peter Sellers in the movie Being There. How many of you saw that? It's a pretty old movie, but it's well worth watching. I was pushing the remote channel changer and nothing was happening. It's like I want life to be different than it is right now. I want the cat to be in the garage. So you got this channel changer in here. You know, we guys really love those things, but when they don't work, we have an issue. That did happen to my television the other day. I think the battery was low or something, and the channels would not change. There's nothing worse than having to get up and change the channels. That's even worse than your cat not coming in. That's pretty hard to deal with that one. But that movie it was funny because he was addicted to this, and then he was evicted from his gardening position, and he was out in real life, and some bad guys came up, you know, and threatened him, and he had the channel changer. He was trying to change a different channel. And I've wondered if we don't look at prayer in that way. In some ways, it's our channel changer. You know, we try to get life to look differently through our prayer work. So instead of trying to make it look differently, just let it be what it is at that moment and say, let life happen. You know, let it go. Just try that. You know, I'm sure all of you are very familiar with this idea. But it's funny how I've been familiar with it for many years, and then it just pops into your head out of no place, and it works. It's a good way to deal with an issue, but even a bigger issue, because let life happen is, of course, another way of saying go with the flow or let go and let God. Maybe these phrases are getting a little worn. Sometimes a slight change of wording is all it takes to breathe new life into any time-tested affirmation of faith. So how can we apply it to something bigger? Is it possible to apply this simple idea to something more than a pair of obstinate cats? What if we understood that our purpose in life is simply to let life happen? Wouldn't this mean we could stop striving to control everything and actually enjoy the journey? Are we too preoccupied with protecting our anxiety-prone weaknesses to fully appreciate our God-given strengths? So I got to thinking about that. You know, I've talked several weeks in a row about our purpose. I talked about this last week, our purpose in life. What is that? And it's sometimes hard to figure out. And maybe, I find myself, as I applied that very idea, let life happen. Stop trying to figure out why you're here. Stop trying to figure it all out and just let it be. Let it happen. Let go and let God. Go with the flow. It's like, if I'm supposed to know why I'm here, don't you think I'll know? Don't you think I'll get the memo at some point? There's nothing wrong with not having conscious memory of why you may have chosen this experience. The big issue is, what am I doing with this now moment? Am I letting life happen, or am I trying to make it something different from what it appears to be at this moment? And that's often where we are. You know, we're trying to see something different. There's something that we've maybe we're yearning for, we're longing for some other thing. I've said before that if you think of your life as a person, what are you telling this person all the time? I like you, but I would sure like you to change. I'd like you to be different. And here's all the things I would like you to do. You know, I would like you to make me more prosperous. I would like you to stop sending me people that are so obstinate. I would really like you to give me cats that are cooperative. Well, that's never going to happen, of course. But, and if you don't do that, you know, I really am not going to love you as I should, or as I can. I'm going to withhold until you change, until you start behaving differently. So if you did that with a person, your relationship wouldn't last very long. Probably all of us have done that with a person. Find that the way things go are not always so well. And you have probably had that happen with you. Somebody is looking at you saying, I like you, but I would like you to change. And here's some ideas I think that would work out really well for you. Just do these things. That happens in society. You know, it's different things where we are expected to fit in certain protocols. And we may not feel too comfortable in that place. But from our perspective, to be able to say when something's going a little different direction than we think it should, to just stop and say, well, let life happen. Just let this go, let this happen. You don't have to change it. And maybe the change that you're looking for is just a few moments beyond this moment, when you stop chasing the cat, when you stop chasing the problem. Stop trying to resolve the problem. Stop trying to make life into something likable. And maybe realize it's already likable. It's already here. It's already all that it will be. It's a matter of perception, how you're seeing it, how you're experiencing it. And it's a very simple thing. But so often we look at it, we say, it's okay, but it's not good enough. And because it's not good enough, I can't feel good enough. I can't feel all that I want to feel in my life. So what if I stop asking, what is my purpose? Why did I come here? And just say, well, my purpose right now is to let life happen. Why did I come here? I don't know, but I'm here. So what can happen since I'm here? And what's funny is only my unique experience can happen through me. Nobody else can have it. It's the only place in this whole universe that it happens. The way I see and experience life, there's only one place in the whole universe that can happen, and that's in me. And if I'm saying, well, I don't want that to happen, I want something else to happen, then we're denying ourselves the ability to be here now. But life can really do no better than it's doing right now. So it must be doing pretty good because we're here. And we're looking at it. We're looking at things. We're evaluating ourselves. We're evaluating all the things that are going on, and we're naming it all something, perhaps hoping it'll turn out a little bit differently. That's the whole thing that I've been thinking about, the difference in what I think Jesus taught and what people said he taught after he was gone. Before he showed up, the nation of Israel was looking for a coming kingdom. Life's going to get better. We're not going to let life be. We have to expect it to get better. And one of the reasons they were hoping that is because most people lived in poverty. It was a real struggle just to survive. And so the belief they had accepted out of their religious teachings was someday a Messiah is going to show up and he's going to usher in a political and social state that looks like it did in the days of King David and his son Solomon, who was one of the richest people in the Bible. And when this Messiah comes, he will usher in this kingdom and get rid of all the people we don't like, all the things we don't like, and there are plenty. The Jews were just as angry at their own leaders as they were at the Roman Empire, and they wanted them to be gone. And the Zealots were actively assassinating some of their leaders. When Jerusalem came under siege from Rome in 70 AD, I think it started earlier, a little bit earlier than that. But some of the Jews that were inside the walls of Jerusalem actually sabotaged the food supply, trying to make something happen. They were sabotaging their own food supply. And it got so bad that there was cannibalism, there was murder, there was all kinds of problems. And then Rome finally broke through and just mass slaughtered all these Jews. Some escaped. But the whole point is they thought a Messiah was going to come and that was the time he should come. Let's get this show on the road. But the belief is things aren't good enough right now. But if you look at what Jesus actually taught, he would say, you say there's 4 months until the harvest, but I say lift up your eyes and see the fields are already white for harvest. In other words, there's something here now that you're not seeing. And let's learn how to see that. And I listened to several Bible scholars, which I really find fascinating and very helpful. But a lot of critical biblical scholars are atheists. They have, many of them have started in fundamental Christianity, and due to their research, getting back into the Greek scriptures that we have. We don't have anything near the original, but they get into the Greek language and find it is so different from what we read in our Bibles that a lot of them say, I don't believe in God anymore. And they will give up even their Christian faith. It's a pretty interesting thing. I've made a lot of big changes in my thinking through that kind of study, because it's not what the fundamentalists are telling us, nothing like that at all. So, but what I think they're missing, the reason they become an atheist, in my thinking, the reason anybody would become an atheist, they're not rejecting God, they're rejecting a perception of God. And they're rejecting the perception of God that's given them by their fundamental training. I rejected that, but I'm not an atheist. I found mysticism, I found a different way to understand God. And so when I look at Jesus from that point of view, I see a whole different person. I see a person who was talking about, it's not out there someplace. The kingdom is not coming through observation. That you won't say it's low here or low there, because the kingdom of God is within you. That makes perfect sense. It's here now. It's how you're seeing it. You're either trying to make something happen in life, or you're letting go and understanding that there's a greater good. The mystical awakening, when somebody touches that inner presence, changes the whole way they experience life. And I think this is what Jesus was trying to help people do, and it's a very difficult thing to comprehend. He was able to talk about it, and people liked what they heard. But he even said it's like a narrow gate. You know, it's very hard to get into this, very hard to grasp these ideas I'm telling you. How is it you can go within yourself and make your life better that way? And the answer is when your vision is lifted, when your inner self-perception and your understanding of God is opened up through direct experience, particularly, changes the way you see life, changes the way you see everything. And so you won't necessarily get a different government, or you won't necessarily get a different social status, but you will learn to live fuller where you are. And that's a pretty big deal, because if you are raised, as most of us were, in this belief system that someday something's coming that's better, and I keep watching for that. And so Jesus, I think, taught that as you open your inner consciousness to this presence, your life will start looking different, and you'll start having a different relationship with it. And things will happen in a better way. And who knows what will happen. But it may not change anything in the outer, just like I was talking about the caterpillar and the butterfly. You know, the world doesn't change. The transformation that occurs through the caterpillar is from within. That butterfly comes out. It's not found in the world someplace. You know, the caterpillar doesn't crawl around until it finds a butterfly suit and then climbs into that. It's like it emerges out, and that is the perfect example of the mystical teaching. It's like we open the floodgates within ourselves first, and we begin to see life from a different point of view. Like with the cat, trying to get him one moment and then letting it go, just letting it, it's okay. You know, that'll work out, that'll happen. It's saying life really is okay as it is. Am I? Am I able to see that? It's like I told you with the vertigo thing, you know, somebody in the church said, you look normal when you're having one of your spells. And I said, but you don't. That's the problem. And so we look out at life and it doesn't look like it's working, like it's so good. And so we say, I will like it better when it looks better. But it's us, it's our vision. And again, a person like Jesus comes along and says, you've got to be born again. You know, you've got to see yourself in a different way. Let go of the old wineskin. It's full of ideas that you can't add anything new or it'll burst. You need new wineskins. So much of what he taught is based on this idea of letting go. Life is good as it is. The caterpillar looking out saying, I don't have to change this world, but I will change myself. And they go into this moment of this period of quiet, which is very symbolic of us. We let go of all of our outer approach to life. We take time to be still, to listen within ourselves, open ourselves to that deeper reality. And it is difficult to do because the mind is so busy. And that should show us why we don't always like life as it appears to us, because we're looking at it through this churning mind, and it's not always real pretty. So there's just so much in what Jesus says that I can see it's a mystic speaking. So he dies. He's nailed to the cross. He's gone. And people don't know what to do because they don't have a teacher. They don't have somebody reminding them of this very difficult teaching, this very difficult idea. And I think it is difficult. They don't have somebody assuring them, cheerleading them on, saying, yes, it's difficult, but stay with it. And to, sit down and counsel people, talk with people about it. But he's gone, and what happens to the people? They start looking again for the kingdom to come. But this time, he's going to be there. He's coming back. So it's the same exact thing that the Hebrews did. They're sitting there waiting for their kingdom to come. We go through this life and death of Jesus. He's gone. The Jesus movement, which became the Christian movement, does the same thing the Jews were doing, sitting there waiting. And it totally misses. So I understand if somebody has that fundamental background and they give up their belief in God. But I don't think anybody should stop there. Just because it's not what I thought it was doesn't mean it isn't. Doesn't mean there's not something there. That I think there's this deeper reality. I know there's this deeper reality. It's always present, and it's not like the old man in the sky that I was trained to think. It's very different. So how do you open your mind to something so radically different from what you grew up hearing about and believing? And the answer to that is it has to be accompanied by experience, some level of experience. It's like I have said before, if you're looking out the window and you're describing sunlight, and you write down everything you know about it from looking out from the inside out. It's a very different experience from actually going outside and feeling the air and feeling the sun and feeling all the elements that are around you. That's an experience. And you don't need words for it. It just is. It impresses upon you, and that's what the presence of God is. We say we would like to commune with God. Maybe we're expecting a booming voice from the sky. That's the way it appears in the Old Testament. God, as I have said, always speaks in whole sentences. It's a very clear communication. So maybe that's what we're expecting. But the presence of God is an impulse. It is an inner spring of water welling up into eternal life. It's spirit. It's not a thing. They'll say it's not, you won't say it's low here or low there. It's within you. And I can understand how that is a difficult thing to grasp, but most of us have at least gotten that concept. Somehow we have transitioned from the old man in the sky to God as an inner presence. Whether or not we've experienced it, we have something in us has been drawn to that. So we have experienced it to a degree, but we're not done yet. We're not done experiencing it. But that's what I think is going on in the religious world. I have released most of the beliefs that I grew up with, the Christian framework. And I don't think it even matters what you call yourself. If you call yourself Christian, if you call yourself Buddhist, if you call yourself nothing, what religion is God? That's There's none. There's no religion there. The near-death experience people come back and say the same thing. Everything we learn in church is wrong about the afterlife. It's nothing like we were taught. So I like that kind of thing. I like hearing that kind of thing because I understand why they would say it, and I understand why it would be wrong. And I understand why a person who delves into a study of biblical literature, gets behind the scenes, gives up their belief in that whole system. But it doesn't mean they give up their interest in that kind of study, that kind of scholarship. Most of them double down on it, find it more fascinating. But anyway, we all build up our own perceptions, our own religion. And that's always a good thing to look at, when things are going wrong and we're praying, we're trying to change channels. Are we letting life happen? Just let go and let God. Are we doing that? Because that's really the experience we want. So it seems we're always so busy making other plans that we do not see the life that is happening all around us. Perhaps this simple reminder will, in our own cat herding situation, provide the needed catalyst to let life happen. Just kind of remember those 3 words this week and see where you can apply them. Very simple idea. But you'll find yourself, if you get into this, you'll find your body relaxing, you'll find your mind slowing down, you'll find yourself saying, it's really okay. I'm going to let life happen. I am letting life happen right now. Thank you for watching this week's program. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with others. We want to reach as many people as we can, and we appreciate your help. We have many subjects in our video lineup, so feel free to take a look. If there's a topic you don't see and would like me to address, just put it in the comment section. I'd love to know what's on your mind. To subscribe to this channel, simply click our logo. Thanks again for your interest in Independent Unity, and have a wonderful week.